Welcome back to Light the Fuse, the only Mission Impossible podcast that just won't leave your side. We are there through thick and thin, through ups and downs, breakups, new relationships, children, death.
Wow.
We're just always there.
You can always count on us. On Friday, you'll get that download alert in your podcast app.
That little hit. And if you're really jonesing for more, you can always sign up for Light the Fuse Plus, our Patreon, and get even more content.
Yes.
I mean, I wasn't planning on going that way so early in the show, but, you know, if it
gotta
fits,
do what you gotta
fits.
do.
Yeah.
I mean, Matthew Pearl is our guest again this week, and we have a bonus interview with Matthew that is definitely worth checking out, where he talks about The Fugitive 2, which was a script that was done for Harrison Ford's character before the Wesley Snipes spinoff that happened in the late 90s. This was a direct sequel to the first Fugitive movie, and it sounds like it was pretty hilariously bad. And so Matthew tells us all about it because he wrote script coverage on it, working at a production company that was involved with that in the 90s. So that's pretty hilarious. And yeah, what else, Drew?
Well, I'm just excited that we've got Matthew Pearl Part 2 today, and that he is so funny and smart, and we get into a lot of cool little nooks and crannies of Mission Impossible that we haven't really been to before, that we're going to talk about after the show, obviously. But yeah, I'm just excited for people to hear this.
Yeah, me too.
Should I do my favorite part of the show, though?
You should, because if you're not careful, then Matthew's going to take your spot, and he'll be doing this soon.
Oh my God. No, don't let him, please. I just want to tell everybody that our show is sponsored by My Favorite Album, where filmmaker and music journalist Jeremy Dillon talks to guests like Fred Armisen, Bob Odenkirk, and Casey Musgraves about the music and sometimes the film that they love and how it's influenced them. And this show is also brought to you by John B. and Real Estate Interests LLC, commercial real estate advice for growing companies. And if you are, a company that might not even be looking to buy or sell, they can help you out with saving and strategizing too. So give them a call and they will help you out. That is Real Estate Interests LLC. So those are our sponsors, and we love them, and we couldn't do the show without them.
Yes, thank you so much to them. And without further ado, here is Matthew Pearl Part 2.
I do feel like you guys are a little hard on Mission Impossible 3. You know, one thing that I'm surprised about is that they didn't give titles retroactively once they made everything uniform, right? So now if you go to On Demand or whatever, all the Mission Impossible kind of posters are uniform, right?
Yeah.
And they have kind of a uniform method. And you know what they did with Indiana Jones is they actually changed the title, right? It's now Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Is that how they do it?
Yeah, which is terrible.
So bad. It's terrible.
Which is sort of hard to say. I've never said it out loud.
Yeah.
But I would have liked for them to have given titles to Mission Impossible 2 and 3, because then everything would kind of come together. Was it that wasn't it you guys said that someone didn't want numbers? Was it Tom Cruise didn't want numbers on them?
Yeah, he wanted them to feel like, he thought that the subtitles would make them feel like episodes of the TV show, which he liked.
And they could also serve as a little more standalone movies, as opposed to like you have to see 1, 2, and 3 in order to watch 4.
But now they do all have numbers when you, or they don't have numbers when they're released theatrically. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm looking at the cover art now on Vudu, and yeah, there are numbers on there, I think, just to keep people watching the right ones.
And at some point you have to have numbers. Yeah.
But yeah, theatrically they don't have the numeric. It's not like Star Wars Episode 3, whatever. This one, they just have the subtitles.
That's interesting.
They're cool. Yeah. The thing with Ghost Protocol was that also that they were trying to start a new, that famously was supposed to be the start of a new iteration of the franchise with Renner taking over and all that. So they were trying to distance themselves from the Mission Impossible name, which you can actually see in very early press reports about the movie.
That they were even considering, they were considering taking Mission Impossible out of the title
really?
entirely.
Yeah.
And there was an exec apparently who was trying to get the music removed. I mean, this has come up from time to time through our episodes. Through our various investigations over the time of having this podcast.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I know the Renner part. Poor Renner, because that's the second franchise he was supposed to take over.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great negotiation tool for other actors.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, I don't feel too bad for him.
No.
He's doing fine.
And he's great.
It is unfortunate. I mean, and we actually, both Drew and I actually kind of enjoyed the Bourne Legacy, which Robert Elswit shot, who we've had on the show to talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Have you guys done a Patreon about the Bourne movies?
Yes,
we did.
Okay, I have to find that one.
Yeah, we're hoping Renner comes back, but it's looking less and less likely. Because, he was supposed to be in Fallout, but McQuarrie wanted to kill him off, and Renner said, just don't put me in it.
No thanks.
Nice.
Let me still be alive somewhere. So, hopefully he comes back.
Well, yeah, I think you guys are a little hard on 3.
I want to hear about that, because I feel like we want to give voice to people who, there are a lot of people out there who love 3. So let's hear it. I want to hear you tell us why.
This is like a great customer survey.
Well, look, one of the things you guys point out, which I don't think I would have noticed, is that Damien is Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, right?
Yeah, I think Owen Davian.
Owen Davian.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Davian with a V?
Davian,
so.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never saw it spelled out. That he's just hardly in it, right?
Yeah.
But I actually think, because I agree with one of the theses that you guys have put out, which is that the franchise has had a very hard time with their villains, right? With their big bads. And again, until Fallout. But I actually think that part of why I find it very effective in 3 is that reduced time. Because look, the truth is, like, the more time you have with villains in movies like this, the more mustache twirling, as you guys say, that kind of has to happen. And when you look at something like, say, Silence of the Lambs, or, this brings it full circle, or Untouchables, De Niro is not in the Untouchables very much.
Right.
I don't actually have a count. And that was originally supposed to be Bob Hoskins, which is just kind of odd. But I think actually reducing that time, like you have for Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, who's in that for what, like 10 minutes or something?
Yeah.
Something crazy? 20?
Right. Probably closer to 10 minutes. Yeah.
But I think that can work in your favor in making someone fearful. And in fact, I wonder what you guys think of this, but we don't have, it's not fair of me to use this time just for you guys to answer all the questions I always have in my head when I listen to you. But I wonder to myself why Solomon Lane works so much better, in my opinion, I think in both of your opinions from what I can gather, in Fallout than in Rogue Nation. And
it's the beard.
The beard, totally part of it. No, that's how I knew I was going to keep listening to your podcast. Was I said to my wife, I was like, they're talking about Tom Cruise's haircuts and the different haircuts he has in the movie. I gotta keep listening. The beard is definitely part of it, but also the reduced time, right? You're not watching, like in Rogue Nation, Solomon Lane kind of is pacing around.
Yeah.
And like, what should I do with myself kind of thing, which just isn't that intimidating. Somehow he's so much, even though he's literally a prisoner, he's literally in chains for a chunk of it in Fallout.
Yeah.
Or actually a lot of it, because he's the prisoner first of the actual authorities and then of the IMF. It's somehow much more effective. And in fact, if there's any dip in the effectiveness, it's probably when he's free and kind of pacing around again once they're in the medical camp.
Kashmir.
Yeah, Kashmir. So, I don't know.
I will say that my theory, as a strong Rogue Nation is too complicated truther, that revenge being his motivation in Fallout is a much clearer and more emotionally direct kind of motivation for all of his villainy. And I think that you don't really get that in Rogue Nation because there's all this... You're right, he's in like a fucking office for a lot of it, like standing behind a nice oaken desk, and it's like, well, that's not that scary, but he's been robbed of that power. He wants to take it out on Ethan. There's the addition of, the whole wife coming back thing, which I thought was brilliant and also works so well with the movie's kind of themes of like, it's going to catch up with you one day. All of your kind of like daring do is going to have a cost.
Right.
And here it is. And so that's why I think he works so much better in Fallout. Plus you have another movie to kind of build him up as kind of a ultimate, he's put he's put Simon Pegg in a fucking, explosive vest. You don't do that to Simon Pegg in these movies. So he kind of has built that up too.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think my least favorite part of Fallout is the fight between him and Elsa and Benji. I think is just kind of boring and sort of poorly staged in that little like cabin in Kashmir. And that,
I disagree. No, it's just wanted to put on the record that I disagree because I love that scene too. But to build on what Drew was saying too, I think part of it in Solomon Lane's and why he's so scary in Fallout 2, what they do so well is setting up right from the beginning that he is in Ethan's nightmares.
Yes.
And that's another thing they do so well, that from the beginning of the very opening of the movie, like talking about how all of it's all going to come back to haunt him, and it's Solomon Lane in his nightmares telling him that from the beginning. So I think it's really set up well right from the beginning that this is, Ethan's afraid of this,
That's a great point. And his voice. That voice is really, again, more so in Fallout for some reason. I don't know if I've never compared it. I don't know if he changed what he was doing.
He just looks like such a wiener in Rogue Nation too. Like the little haircut and everything. It's like, and plus it's right after Michael Nyqvist is kind of the same kind of like Faye bad guy in Ghost Protocol, which we did. If you think that it had a villain problem before, wait until you find out who they were planning on having as the villain in Ghost Protocol, which we had never heard before, but then talk to this previs guy and it'll blow your mind. We want to save that.
Okay.
They were going to have one of the biggest stars in the world be the bad guy in 4, which would have added a lot. But, we always bemoan the fact that Michael Nyqvist didn't get to let loose like he did in John Wick. So we'll be investigating that further because we have this whole John Wick thing coming up too.
I can't
which I hope
wait
you'll
for
stick
that.
around for. Okay, good.
I've only seen the first John Wick, so I have to catch up. How many are there now?
There's only 3. So, yeah, you can do that in a
Not too
in a
much
night.
homework.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything we can improve on the podcast while you're here?
Now that this has become a
Yeah.
customer survey.
I was just trying to imagine what you guys felt when 7 and 8, because there was a point at which you guys, I mean, all of us who are fans, and I think I remember you guys, as I was binging, said, is it going to keep going?
Yeah.
And when they announced 7 and 8, I'm just sort of picturing like you guys realizing, oh my gosh, we're going to be doing this for a long time. I do wonder whether, and I can't remember if you guys have mentioned this, whether the run, the Tom Cruise run, when did we first see the run that we know of as the run? Was it before Mission?
It was before Mission.
Definitely The Firm.
The Firm has it for sure. And his Twitter bio says he's been running in movies since 1984 or whatever. So we got to go find
1981 even.
Yeah. We got to go find the first run. There's not a run in Risky Business, I don't think. I don't know. We're going to have to look at... He doesn't run in Top Gun either. He rides a motorcycle.
Does he run in Rain Man?
No, I don't think so.
I remember him running in Rain Man. The Firm, though, I remember when I was a kid, like that was him running in The Firm with the tie flying back. Like that was a big deal.
We got to get your guy to teach us how to run, Charles.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, didn't Marianne Brandon say she learned how to run that way, too?
Yeah.
Oh, you could learn? You could learn how to do it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, can teach you how to run. And I think Keith Campbell, his stunt double from the first 2 movies, we had him on the show. And so he described it, I think, a little bit. And then I believe it was Marianne Brandon, the editor of MI3, one of the editors of MI3, who said that Cruise told her how to run.
I assume that probably am I allowed to say things that won't be, and I just.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We can cut stuff out. It's okay.
Yeah. I loved Night Owls, Charles. I just wanted to say that.
Oh, thank you. We can keep that in the show. I'm happy to have people hear that.
Well, there was no segue. There was no, I didn't have a transition there. So. That was
that's
awesome.
great. I'll just soak it in. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have. I embarrassingly don't have Hulu, so I have not. I really want to see your and the other Into the Dark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Are they? Do we call them episodes, or I've been watching the Amazon one, the Welcome to the Blumhouse. Yeah. Which I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they're characterizing.
Well,
featurettes or something.
They're movies. I mean, Amazon's characterizing them as movies, but Charles's is a movie, and I watched. At one point, I was working on a list of every Blumhouse horror movie. So when Charles got that job, I was like, "Oh my god, I've seen them all." So yeah, they're all movies. They're long, they're feature length, but Charles's is definitely one of the very, very best, and it's regularly cited as one of the most popular.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
It's cool. I was lucky enough to get the Christmas episode, which is fun, and it's a comedy, which I think makes it very enjoyable to watch. I think a lot of times maybe horror people might not be as much in the mood. You have to be in the right mood for it, but when it's a dark comedy, I think it's a little bit lighter.
Well, should we ask you the big questions?
Oh, yeah. Let's go back. Whatever you say. I detoured us.
Here's the big questions, obviously. If you know this is coming, so I've got to ask you. The hairstyles.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you stand?
I'm going to go with Ghost Protocol.
So you're a long hair guy.
Well, wouldn't you say that's it's not as long as 2, is it?
It's not as long as 2.
It's the
It's a
second
little bit
longest.
more.
Yeah, second longest.
We think it's more shaped than 2. It's got a real nice body.
I like the explanation that you guys figured out through investigative journalism which makes a lot of sense. He's in prison, right? So his hair grows.
Yeah. Okay, so you don't like one.
Oh, no, I didn't say I didn't like. Tom Cruise is a magic person.
Yes.
And can have any he can have any hairstyle that he wants.
Yeah.
I wish we had asked your son these questions too.
Oh, he wanted to be on. He wanted to be when I told him.
He can come on anytime. We asked Liz Hannah's husband what he thought, which was great.
Yeah, I want your son's rankings of the movies and the haircuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would definitely go for... Actually, Ghost Protocol was his... I'm trying to remember. He doesn't know the names of them, which is fair, which is totally
Neither
fair.
do I. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I forget the names of my children, so it kind of goes both ways.
Okay. Well, here's your time to shine. Give us your rankings.
Oh, man.
You knew this was coming.
Well, definitely Fallout. Definitely Fallout is top. I think Fallout figured everything. I think it cracked all the codes. I think you guys agree, although I know I can't remember. I listened to your rankings. I can't remember.
I think we still had number 1 as our number 1. It's a special place in our heart, and Fallout's close behind.
Oh, it definitely has a special place in my heart, too. And ironically, even though the train scene is what allowed me to finagle my way onto your podcast, I think that just I think once we get to the climax, I'm just like,
It's so funny because we've analyzed the train sequence from the first one probably with more people than anything else in the whole franchise. We had John Knoll on, we had, all these people on to analyze that because it's a really groundbreaking moment, and we have somebody else who did the previs for that on. I love the way it looks. I love that kind of era of ILM. And I just love that De Palma was able to play with all those toys. So that's why I think we appreciate that.
No, I'm sure. I probably don't give it enough credit. Maybe because I've seen the movie too many times as well, right? Because all of us have probably seen the first one more than any of the others. I would do Fallout and then Mission Impossible Original.
Okay.
And then I would have to go with... I would have to go with Ghost Protocol.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I would go 3 and Rogue Nation are tied for me.
Okay.
And then 2. 2, it's such a shame because there are so many great elements in 2, but it just tonally, and especially with the slow motion kind of cadence, just doesn't feel like a Mission Impossible movie and doesn't feel grounded, because I feel like for me part of what's different about Mission Impossible than other espionage franchises like Bond is that it's grounded and that we're feeling the characters figure things out. Whereas Bond, you don't want Bond to be part of how he's figuring anything out, right? I don't think.
Right.
So, and I'm just missing that in 2, even though there's actually a lot of clever twists and structural kind of decisions in it.
The only thing I'll push back on that assessment is that at the time of 2, there was no kind of template for what the franchise was.
Right. Oh, no, I understand that, yeah.
So, I mean, it was sort of like dealer's choice. Whatever John Woo, he wanted to do some crazy romance, which nobody's into that, really. But, he did it. They let him do it.
Right.
So.
And wasn't that part of the point, right?
It was, yeah.
And Cruise had been cooped up with Kubrick for a couple of years, and he was like, yeah, let's go out to Australia and shoot some guns. I'm ready.
I do, one thing I can't remember if you guys have brought this up, but I just noticed in Mission Impossible 3 for the first time when I rewatched it with my son, was that when Musgrave reveals to Hunt that he's that he's the bad guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which another argument for me to throw at you guys is because I don't remember seeing that coming. I think that's actually one of the twists you don't see coming in the many betrayals that Ethan Hunt faces, because when Musgrave gives him the tip with the lip reading,
Right.
that kind of diffuses, I think, any suspicion you would have, because it seems like there's no way that he could. In any case, when he reveals to Hunt, I think, and you guys are up on this more, I think we're in the same position as when Kittredge is revealing to Hunt. I think the camera is seeing Hunt the same way as when we're seeing Hunt getting furious as Kittredge is revealing that it was all Mole Hunt in the first one.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So now I gotta rewatch that.
It's like a Dutch angle, and it's like real tight on his face. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a vibe that to me was quoting that.
Yeah.
That I love, because I could use more quotes, so to speak, from the original Mission Impossible. In fact, I always, speaking of that same scene in the aquarium restaurant, does that have a name in the movie, the aquarium restaurant?
I think it's just called Aquarium or something.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is in Czech.
Whatever, yeah.
The follow me around the room, the waiter at 12 o'clock, I always wish we kind of get a callback to that. We kind of do, right? In Fallout, when he's telling the White Widow, when he's kind of pointing out all the men that are there to kill her.
Right. Yeah.
I sort of feel like that's a good, but I wouldn't mind having the actual 12 o'clock. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also a callback to, I think, an earlier De Palma movie, Body Double. And especially in the scene where they kind of do it again in the movie where Voight is sort of saying, oh, this was all Kittredge, and he's kind of coming up with the explanation in his head. Because in the climax of Body Double, he's being told that it's somebody else, and the main character is figuring out who it actually is. I don't know if you remember Body Double.
I don't.
But it is one of my favorite De Palma movies. But so to me, that was more of a De Palma-ism than it was anything else. So I think the answer is bring back De Palma.
Oh yeah, well that would be awesome. I also wish. Can I tell you a question to ask? Can you ask me which character should they not have killed off?
Who should they not have killed off?
Jack.
Who the hell is Jack?
Emilio Estevez?
Emilio Estevez.
Oh, Emilio
yeah.
Estevez.
Jack. I mean, that they didn't. They could have left us. We could have assumed he was killed, but really he goes. You didn't need that awful.
He got impaled in the face.
Yeah, if De Palma's going to
did not
impale
survive.
someone, he's going to do it.
No, I know he didn't survive, but if you would just cut away, I actually, because one of the times I watched the original Mission Impossible with my son, it was just on TV, it was on AMC or something, and they actually cut out where he gets impaled in the face.
Oh, okay.
So you could have a little hope in your heart if you only saw that version. But yeah, I just think knowing what you guys discovered, which is that he was Ethan's college roommate, I just think that and
I forgot about that. That was in one of the liner notes or something we discovered,
and
right?
and we are now deprived forever of hearing again the catchphrase "Hasta lasagna, don't get any on you."
Yeah.
Right.
It's sad.
Well, that catchphrase could still come back in honor of Jack.
That would be awesome.
Well, Kittredge is coming back.
Oh, which one of you? I think it was Charles that was just screaming.
Yeah, he was just screaming.
Yes, that was me screaming, yes.
I totally agree. So I was really interested when you guys dissected that the first time we actually, it took a bunch of movies before we actually see a secretary, right? So that the first time we saw the secretary was Ghost Protocol.
Yeah, Tom Wilkinson.
So was there in the original series? Because that I'm completely ignorant about. Was there a secretary?
We never saw the secretary in the old show.
So here's my theory. Maybe you guys discussed this and I missed it. I think that language was meant to be about, because there's only a few secretaries it's the cabinet members. I think that was supposed to be the Secretary of Defense when they, or correct me if it actually specifies Secretary of the IMF. I think that original language was the Secretary of Defense.
That could be true.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what's so funny about the first one, too, is that it sets up Ethan as assuming the John Voight role, which he still has not done 8 movies later. It's like...
You've said this before, but he has. Voight was just the leader of the team. So Ethan has been the leader of the team ever since then.
That's true.
He was in the field. I think you're responding to how much older...
That's probably true.
Were you guys the ones to point this out? You must be, because who else who else am I listening to talk about Mission Impossible constantly?
Better not be anybody else.
that Tom Cruise is essentially, I mean, by the time 7 comes out, he will be the age that John Voight was in the first one.
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still running around.
They might already be the same age.
I don't know what to make of that. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. But
Yeah. I think it's time for him to he should be a middle manager after these two, I think, is what.
No, I think Charles and I disagree. He's a magic
It's
person.
so weird to get outnumbered.
I'm trying to work my way in here as the third.
I love it. People have tried and failed. Carly Wiesel has been trying for years.
She's been trying to muscle me out.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't want to muscle anyone out. I just want to join the team.
No, muscle him out. Yeah, no.
I'm not Renner.
Well, first of all, you can come on the podcast anytime. Do you have anything you need to plug before we go?
You know, I am the co-editor and co-founder of a digital magazine called Truly Adventurous. We've been around about a year and a half, so it's trulyadventure.us. And for our Mission Impossible fans, we have a number of really cool sort of true story, espionage stories, spies. We have some more coming up. We have a new long, great, incredible true story every 3 to 4 weeks.
And you've never hired me to do any of these stories, so
Would you want to?
I'm ready. Put me in.
Narrative
I'm
long
ready.
form. It's not the most fun because you get to have fun. You get to rank every animated movie ever made.
But then I also spent 8,000 words talking about Disney's America, the unbuilt historical theme park in Manassas, Virginia. And who knows if anyone reads this?
One of my favorite tweets that I've seen recently, Drew, was your tweet about a corn dog at Disney World. And it was simply, if this is true...
Yeah, huge if true.
Huge if true. And there's no hint of irony or sarcasm.
Those corn dogs.
Yeah.
Those corn dogs are legit. They're really, really good.
Whenever I take Charles, we have to go get a corn. First stop, Main Street.
Yeah, corn dogs.
You have a book that you have to plug too? What's the last novel?
My last novel was called The Dante Chamber, and it's a sequel to my very first book that you guys were kind enough to mention, which is called The Dante Club. So that's a historical thriller about the sort of murders based on Dante and poets, because only poets know anything about Dante, who have to kind of figure out why. And I've kind of taken a left turn at Albuquerque into narrative nonfiction, as suggested by the magazine that I help edit, and my next book will be nonfiction. So I'll have to come up with an excuse.
Come on back
in October 2021 to come back and plug that.
I heard you are bitterly feuding with Dan Brown. No, I'm kidding. There's room for every
Dan Brown, yeah, he's been a very kind supporter of my books and actually gave a blurb. My book came out, my first book came out about a month after the Da Vinci Code, and he sent me an email how much he enjoyed it, which I made the mistake of sharing with my editor and who said, get a blurb from him and we'll put it on the paperback, which he was kind enough to do.
Got to get that Dan Brown juice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for accepting this mission, and we hope you accept further missions, and thank you so much for your insight and this amazing connection between Untouchables and Mission Impossible.
I forgot to say one thing.
Oh, God. Go ahead.
I am the storm. I had to say it.
Excellent.
You had to say it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. It's my dream to be on this podcast, and you should not have said I could come on anytime, because I will be emailing you within minutes.
Tell your son that we want his rankings too.
Okay, definitely. Thank you guys.
And we're back. Something tells me that's not the last we'll see of Matthew Pearl. What do you think, Charles?
I think you're right.
Yes. Yeah, we should say that after we recorded this episode, his magazine, his literary sort of nonfiction magazine, has this cool project that was set up with Blumhouse about the first recorded haunting of a like low-income apartment building. And John Ridley, the great screenwriter of 12 Years a Slave, is going to write and direct that for Blumhouse. So
Yeah, that's so awesome. Which we should have plugged that in the first episode as well, but he brought it up in this interview. But he brings up you should go to the website trulyadventure.us because that's a really cool website. You should go and read some of the stories there. It can be tailored to your tastes and what you like to read, which is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, should you have been directing that? I mean, maybe not that one, but I think an adaptation of one of these stories.
I'd love to.
Do.
I hope I get to work with Matthew at some point. He's so nice and fun to talk to, and I'm sure he'd be amazing to collaborate with on something down the line, hopefully. Maybe and you as well. He brought up that you could write for his website.
Yeah, I think that would be the lowest viewed article on the website, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hey, someone's got to get the lowest spot. Why not
That's
you?
That's true. Why not me? So what do we want to discuss on the back end, Charles? Tell me what you wanted to talk about.
Well, I thought his defense of MI3 was pretty interesting, and him talking about the screen time for Philip Seymour Hoffman and how we always are so down on the movie because of that. And he talks about it as maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing, like Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs or Robert De Niro in The Untouchables. I'd love to actually get, because I think the only one I could find out was Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs supposedly is 16 minutes. I could not find a number for Robert De Niro in The Untouchables, and I didn't have time to go back and watch and count the number of seconds that he's in the movie. But I think he's in it for less than 16 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious to know how long Philip Seymour Hoffman is in MI3. I don't know what his screen time is, but I would think that he would be maybe around 16 minutes, maybe less.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so I'd be curious to know those numbers. But I thought that was a good defense. I think that's a good point. You know, it makes Philip Seymour Hoffman that much more memorable when he's like a lightning bolt through the movie in a kind of a smaller way. But yeah, I thought that was a good defense. I also thought his theory about the secretary, maybe that in the old show when they talk about how the secretary will disavow knowledge of your whatever, his theory was that the secretary was actually meant to be the Secretary of Defense. But over the years, and with the movies, there's the IMF secretary, and he thinks that was maybe meant to be just the Secretary of Defense. I think that actually makes sense.
Yeah, me too. I'd sign off on that.
We've just made up. There's a whole made up thing now about the IMF secretary, but that's cool.
Yeah, whatever. Your whole life's a lie. Whatever. Get over it. That's what I always say.
We talk about his son's rankings. We have a clip that he sent us. So here is a clip of Matthew and his son discussing the Mission movies.
Hi, I'm Cooper and I'm 10.
And Cooper, which Mission Impossible is your favorite and why?
My favorite is the 5th one because...
Do you remember what that one's called?
I kind of forget, but like I really love I love where they're in the opera and wait, is that the 5th? Yeah, it's where they're in the opera and they're just like fighting, and then I don't really know why, but they're trying to kill the prime minister.
That's right.
Yeah, but like I don't know why.
Well, because they're the bad guys.
I know, but
It's Solomon Lane. He's always trying to disrupt.
He got out with an arm wound, but then the car blew up, which was kind of scary.
But what is your favorite part at the opera?
The opera, probably when the two guys are fighting on the giant metal ramp thing.
Oh, with Ethan Hunt and the assassin.
The Ethan Hunt and the assassin, and it was kind of funny when he did like he put a clarinet into a gun.
And do you remember the theme song for Mission Impossible?
Da 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 da.
Okay, well, thank you for being our guest. And can you say for us, light the fuse?
Light the fuse.
Okay, thank you, Cooper.
You're welcome.
Adorable.
Yeah, I love that. It's so great to hear a young Mission Impossible fan talk about what he loves about the Mission Impossible movies. It's really cool.
So great. Yeah, what else?
Well, everybody should sign up for our Patreon. Patreon.com/lightthefuse. Again, I'll stop talking about it after you've all signed up. We're close to 100 Patreon followers, and it's a meaningless milestone in the end, but it'd be a meaningful gesture on your part if you signed up and got us to 100 Patreon followers.
Yeah. Just do
I
it.
think we've had people come in and drop off, so over time we've had more than 100, but currently right now we have almost 100. We've never had 100 active Patreon followers, so let's get to 100. So help us out, do that. That would be awesome. Check out our TeePublic page, which has shirts and other items. If you buy one of those shirts or sticker, magnet, iPhone case, whatever, anything like that, it all goes to helping make this show possible. So every dollar counts. And
I want more people on our monthly chat. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, that's a higher Patreon level. If you come join our Patreon I think it's at the operations manager level, then you can be part of our monthly Skype chat, which is an awesome group of people. We talk about Mission Impossible and movies in general, and we have a great lively chat that we do every month. It's a really cool crew of people. So you should join and do that. Also, again, the TeePublic site is linked from our website, LightTheFusePodcast.com, in the merch section. Also, go to the episode guide and check out all the show notes from all our episodes. It's a really cool guide there. And what else, Drew? People should subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening to this podcast, and just talk about it. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your family members, whatever.
Get your enemies to listen.
Yeah. Nothing says payback like forcing them to listen to us talk. So sick this show on them. But no, every little bit helps. And, if you can't subscribe, we totally understand. But if you could or rate or review, it helps us almost as much. So please just keep us in the conversation.
Yes.
And we've got so many great things planned for this year. I mean, really, really fun stuff. And, once we can see each other, we definitely want to do some in-person stuff as well. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yes, and a special thank you to Robbie J. Martin. Couldn't do this episode without you. Thank you so much. Thank you to Abby Smith, our intern. Luke Burson is our mixer and editor who makes the show possible as well. And Kevin Blumenfeld for the wonderful music that he gives us. Sometimes it's original, sometimes it's a blatant ripoff, but it's all wonderful.
It's great. Thank you, guys, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. And before we go, another mission, should you choose to accept it. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. And remember that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LightTheFusePod and email us questions or comments at LightTheFusePodcasts@gmail.com. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.